Right, so I can't be bothered to put any headphones on and all that, so yeah, you might hear the fan blowing. So basically, this is where my original factory was in the old save game, and I have mined the living bejesus at the entire zone. So all this is now mined, and this is what I'm going to be turning into the nuclear wasteland. I've started building a platform, and this is literally going to expand probably through the entire map. So yeah, so I shall show you the main base. Got a little train station there just to get power to the entire zone, and here's my double train layout system, which I really like. So as you can see, mines everywhere. I need to get them all hooked up, all overclocked, but we'll get there eventually. I'm gonna probably build something underneath here so it doesn't look all floaty and weird. But I'm also going to be bringing a lot of water down from this section to power the nuclear power plants. So I'll probably have a nice pipe waterfall coming down and block all this cave off, or cavern off, and stuff. Okay. Another mine there for Caterium. All good. So yeah, as I said, done it differently now. So I've got 2 train tracks instead of the 1. So I've got one going north to south and one going south to north. Or left and right, up and down, whichever way it is. Problem is, I hooked it up entirely wrong, so it's actually the American way around, not the British way around. So yeah, I might fix that one day. Probably won't, because I can't be bothered. So coming up to the first main factory. Here we are. Boom. Now, for the joys of the Mark II pumps and the Mark II pipes, I can now run 2 sections, or 2 different factories off the one oil node, where before it was only 1 oil node per one section. So where before it'd be 1 oil node making plastic, 1 oil node making rubber, I've now got 1 oil node making both, which is why this is massively big and annoying. But this is exactly the same as the old plastic and rubber setup in the old save game, except we've got packages now. They were new. Which brings us on to over here. Now this is running off another oil node, but this is just a temporary little setup I built without actually checking anything, and this is just making fuel for my jetpack I'm flying around on, which all goes in here. I will eventually tear this all down, much better one that makes rubber, plastic and fuel. Which now brings us over to, see, even got the train tracks gone right in between. That's so cool. See, just skimming it, beautiful. Which now brings us over to the double turbo fuel factory. So again, there's only be 1, now I've got 2, so 1 section here, second section up there, and over here, new item, or new building, batteries, and they do like Duracell. Terribly wrong, I've got emergency power for when things go bad, all little daisy chained, and I've also got little coal generators here, to load up, that's eating up some leftover petroleum coke that's getting made. I remember I said about how the new lighting systems makes everything really dark. Oh yeah, there's the perfect example. I cannot see anything in its daylight. So yeah, just lots of refineries, lots of bullshit, lots of coal factories just to eat up the residue, and then all these. I crashed. Let's go. Fly. Yep, all these are my fuel plants. So literally 2 systems, 1 system down there, 1 system down here. And it does go on quite a distance. Literally just got the pipe snaking up and down, up and down, up and down. God, it's dreary today. I did have a little problem wherein this rock got in the way and I still had to keep going, so it kind of loops around a little bit. But yeah, there's my little train. See? going one way and then the other. And before this round, this will bring me up to the main base, which you can just start to see now. So I've decided to build it in this northern desert area up here, instead of the main desert area. Oh, there goes one of the drones. And I've built a nice little train hub as well. See, so everything comes off and on and off. Stuck. So these are the train platforms. I've even built it out so I can get another train platform if need be. They all come up and down, come off the respective lines, up and down, onto respective lines, so it goes left, right, left, whatever's needed. And here be the factory, which I'm quite proud of this time. So I built it here because we had this massive pond. Zoom in, got that massive pond here, because I knew I wanted to do the refineries to make the ore, and I needed a lot of water, and this is all it. And I've got pure nodes over there, so I've got iron and copper pure nodes, and a Caterium pure node over there somewhere or other. These are making quartz crystal, if I remember right. Yeah, quartz crystal, which I'm shipping in from up here somewhere, round about there. Ignore that, that's uranium, sorting that out later. That is one of the new resources. I'll show you that in a bit. So yeah, let's start the bottom and work our way up. So I did actually start building here from the very beginning, but I just tore everything down and started again. So I've got my limestone node that was making all my concrete to begin with, which now is going off to make silica, I think. This is, I don't know what that is. Sam ore? Oh yeah, it's just a load of Sam ore, which is an item nobody uses at the minute. But yeah. So yeah, more quartz crystals, because I've got all the quartz coming in. So this is the first level. This is literally where I first started. I've just been building it up and up and up. Let's go for those. So yeah, all these refineries are getting water in from the main lake, and are making iron or copper ingots. So it's all along here, all different sections. When I started building it, I had it all planned out to use the maximum miners and the maximum belts, so all I had to do was just reconnect everything at the end. So like, I'll just build a Mark 5 belt there and then turn everything else on, so I didn't have to keep expanding and overclocking and bullshitting it. So I've got the two miners there for the iron. So 2 iron, both going into these systems, which just goes on and on. It was so much fun building this. So I've got the upstairs level there, but if you come around here, you can see I've actually built it into the cliff face a bit as well, like so. These ones are copper, so I'm making my copper ingots. Most of them was as well. That is sulfuric acid, which I'm pumping in from somewhere else. I'll show you that in a bit. And over on this side of the river, see that? I've even built a little bridge. Look at that. See? So you can see the river. I tried to incorporate the nature into it as well, so just doing like a big old block like before. And these are the old Caterium manufacturers. Why are they not making anything? Oh, they are. They're just, I'm using it all up too quick. Cool. That's fine. I got panicky then. So again, all the water. I've got spare pipes and whatnot kicking around. Not many, but a few here and there. I've got sulfur being made here, I think. Still continue. Sulfur's been made somewhere, probably from one of these or one of them. But I just like the design. I've got little, zoom in. These are actually spotlights, so when it gets dark, it illuminates this lovely little section. It should turn on in a minute actually. And I just need to finish building a few bits up there. But yeah, see, it's just like a nice. I like the colours. I've gone white today, white and glass. So yeah. So back into the underground, the refinery section. I've got over here, I'm making steel. got another iron node there, which is just making ingots, make steel. Oh, here we got some nice lighting effects now. See, new lights, very pretty. As I said, I tried to incorporate as much into the actual mountain and design of the ground as possible. And over here is the main little hub. I just spend most of my time. And my Thunderbirds section. I'm missing a van. No, I'm missing a car. Truck, lorry, there should be something else there. See, more little lights. And a little exit here. See? I can drive around the backside and other section around there. Come around here. It actually brings us to the first level of the actual factory. So I get lost quite a bit still, despite the fact I built the place. Because what I think is the bottom level is actually the first level, and the first level's not, so yeah, it gets a bit confusing. And there's a ramp up here that takes us to the other sections of the factory. My little drone port. So, we are now above where we just were, and this is the concrete manufacturing section. So I had like 3 limestone nodes kicking around here, there, and there, which is making all the concrete for the factory. See? That's where we just were. So what you think is actually the first floor is actually not the first floor, because there's a floor underneath. It's really confusing. But again, see, I've tried to incorporate bridges and the rivers into the design. So instead of blocking off this section, I've actually just left it open for the water to run through. So I think it looks pretty. This is a new build I've just done, and it's basically my drone port. So I've got 4 ports at the top, bringing stuff in and then supplying the factory. We go this way first before I show you the main factory. I'll show you the other bit. My lovely conveyor wall with water pipes and coal coming down, supplying everything. See, I've got a nice little supply thing here. I also picked this location as well because I've got geothermal plants here, which have just been updated slightly, so I got a bit of extra power thrown in. So it's quite a nice little spot to build in. I'll show you up here first. So again, lovely little design there, just the pipes coming down. Got 2 spotlights at the top, the conveyors as well. Just nice little waterfall effect, see? And I've actually got 1 spare water pipe from here, so I've got water over in that pond, plus loads more water up here. So let's pop upstairs quickly. Whee. Yeah, it's took quite a while to build. It's quite high. There we go. There is a staircase for when the power does go out, and I have to walk it up. So yeah, you can see the actual size of the factory from up here a bit better. So the train depot's over there, and there's all the concrete sections. So yeah, little radio tower just for, you know, aesthetic. This bit contains all the pipe work and the belts for go down the wall, but I boarded it all up because if you were to look inside, it's yeah, little bit of a mess. So best just to hide that. You can't see it, doesn't count. So back in we go. And then over here's my other water factory, because up here we got even more lakes. So I thought, well, you can never have enough water, so I'm literally mining all this water here for other uses. And this section is making my batteries. So I've got drum ports bringing in some material, exporting batteries, making everything here. The new machine, the blender, which is making the batteries. It's probably backed up already and fucking off. Yeah, missing stuff. So I need to go through it and sort that out. But then it just takes all the batteries into drum ports and exports them. So yeah, how many batteries I've got left? None. Okay, so everything's going to break in a minute, which is not so good. I need to figure out what's going on. Okay, why is this not working? The water's backed up again. Well, it is. The system loops around itself, so it only works when it's working at full capacity. So if something backs up and stops, everything else stops, and I can't figure out why it keeps doing it when it shouldn't. You see a lot of spaghetti pipe work, which I think actually works out quite nicely. So yeah, I'll come back and sort all this out at some point. Nothing else that well. I've got a drone port over there supplying the sofa to there, but I might as well just belt it in because it's not really any distance at all. Cool, right. So I'm going to switch out of this and go into the new hover pack. See? Which lets you float around like a little butterfly. Not as fast, but it's quite handy. So as you can see there, that's the top of the drone port, as I was saying. We'll have a look at that quickly. I'm using a few mods in this version of the game just to get a few bits and bobs changed and sorted the way I wanted it. For example, this is a new modded item which just lets you go through walls wherever you want instead of having it in the pre-located system. And then I've got these which are conveyors that go through the floors which don't actually exist in the game. So yeah, a few mods, but works out quite well. And then a little conveyor bridge over. So right, we'll go down and we'll start on the manufacturing level. So at the bottom we're making all the ingots. Up here is where we're making the basic items. So steel comes up here, make steel beams, steel pipes, making screws. There's a lot. I left this open plan because I think it just looks more industrial like that. I think it looks quite cool. Oh, this is just making quick wire, big empty spaces for extra things. Look at that, that's gorgeous. I love the windows. Coming along. These towers here, you'll see quite a few of them. They're basically just conveyor lifts. So everything comes in, goes up, and it just hides it a bit because it does get a little bit messy, as I'll show you in a bit. This section here is making, well, that section, this section is making the coal for the fuel plants further back, as I showed it earlier. Some silica coming in, that is getting used to make aluminium. These are the new aluminium blenders. I think I tore down and rebuilt this like 6 times with refineries, with blenders, with other things, and in the end I decided just to use this, which apparently is like not the best one to use, but you know, I thought it looked cool, so I'm using it. There we go. Oh, the aluminium. I think I'm missing a little bit of silica. What I need to do is merge this line and that line together and combine it and fix it a bit, but I'll do that later. I tell you, see, the jetpack is so handy. You're just floating around, they're not having to hold down a button, just move around. So making cable, more cable, lots of cable, lots of screws. See, you can see in here everything's just like hidden away and goes up and down. Lots of lights, which kind of fucks the game up a little bit because you're not supposed to have this many in a big open space. But yeah, so all the iron ingots are coming up from downstairs, the 3 lines, making screws, making rods, making plates, making everything that I need. And again, more stuff over here, making the rods. And I built out little landing platforms for things as well. These ones, again, massive towers for bringing stuff up and down with. I don't really want to delete this, but yeah, it's a little bit tight and wibbly in here. This took me quite a few hours to build up and perfect, because it wasn't easy because I didn't have the hover pack back then, so I'm literally jumping around trying not to keep falling down to my death several times. So yeah, we don't look in there. That goes there, see? Cool. And that is everything on this floor. I've got a little light control panel here. Controls the lights. You can change the colour, the intensity. Have them on at all times. Have them purple. Oh god, that burns the eyes. Or red, you know. or just leave them grey. Take the colour down a little bit. I think it just gives it. Oh, there you go. See, nice little glow and things. But we leave that on no mode. Cool. Also discovered, this is really cool, these platforms, if you build them up and along, they line up perfectly with the train station platform. So you can just walk on and off the train platforms now. See? I think that's really cute. Oh, wrong one. There we go, see? And I just built them all the way along, and the trains fit underneath without any clipping as well, which is really handy. So I've got the trains bringing in the sofa and whatnot there, see? So I'm just chugging along quite nicely, all on their own lines. It's perfect. So I'll show you the rest in a bit. Right, so that's the first floor, which is making all the basic items. Let's go up to the next floor. And this is where I started blocking things in a little bit more. This entire area is making the reinforced steel plate or iron plates. This took me a wee while to figure out, because there's a lot of stuff coming in, as you can see. So it all comes in, splits, then it gets merged on with a second line, which splits and gets merged on with a third line, which splits. It's all overflow. So each section of these, so 1, 2, 3, 4, blah blah blah, only requires like 90% of the conveyor, but the next one requires like 110% of the next line. So I had to get the leftover bits to join off the next line to do that, and then do the next bit, and so on and so forth. So eventually it all just overflowed into itself, which eventually worked. And then here, some nice little splitting and merging here to get the lines balanced, so I could actually get some excess wire and make actual cable, which goes in there, which I'm using for something else now. But I've done my best to get the conveyors just to flow quite nicely round the actual factory. I put doors in and everything, so incomplete staircase. Like for example in here I'm making the stators and the rotors. Yep. So down here there's a little gap there. You can see there's a conveyor lifts bringing everything up and down. It took so long, I'm not gonna lie. All just in a row, so half of it splits off, splits this way, splits that way. Got the quick wire coming in. Then these ones are making the motors. So I've got stators and rotors being made along this line, merging here, and then motors. So I try to keep the production lines quite close where possible, instead of doing like a section for stators in one bit and a production for rotors in another, and then merge them later on to make the motors. I've just got stators, rotors, motors done. Which actually bugged me up a little bit because I need these for something else later and I can't get them, so I just have to make them somewhere else. But this is the area where I started boxing everything in, so everything gets its own little boxed room section. I need to put signposts in so I know where everything is. This is making silica. Yep, silica from the quartz, which I've got coming on the outside of the building, which I think looks quite nice really. Nice little conveyor belt all the way along. So that comes in, makes some nice silica, goes off. And as I said before, look, got some Mark IV belt. Need to upgrade that. There we go. That's better. So everything's coming in. I've got it going through walls. I've got it going up and down. So if you're walking around, you just see like random bridges going out and about. I think it looks quite nice. And again, if you don't want to look too closely behind the curtain, there's a lot of wibbly wobbly, very close, very niggly sections. Especially if you go this way. This bit I've actually hidden entirely behind a wall, but what I'm doing here is splitting off the quick wire, merging it again to balance the lines out into what I needed, which was not the funnest thing in the world to do. But yeah, again, that was soul coming up from down below where I was making it earlier. What's next? Got this section making circuit boards and AI limiters from the copper pipes and whatnot. So coming in more silica. So I tried to optimize everything where I can really, and I made these nice little loopy loops sometimes. Before I'd normally do like one there and one there, so they're in straight lines. But I thought they looked quite nice, little, you know, curvy, snaky things. I thought that looks quite cute. What else? Again, in this section, same thing. These ones are making these cubes. I have to put some lights in it. Look how nice that looks. Just straight down the middle, illuminates the main line. I think it looks really nice. Lots of screws on this one. A little bit of clipping here. I had to cheat on that one slightly. You can see there, but I think it looks quite nice in the wall like that, to be fair. So I'm splitting the screws down there, merging the screws. I've got a splitter, merger, splitter. It is, trying to work it out was a nightmare. This is why you try not to use screws, basically. Again, more quick wire. I think that's heading towards the stator line. Oh no, it's going up. Where's that going? Don't know. Back to the silica plant. So yeah, this is as I said, this is making more like the tier 2 important-y stuff, like the cubes, the circuit boards, the plates. Also, I haven't finished this section. I need to box it all off. But this is making the aluminium and the aluminium casings, which is stalled a little bit. I need to sort that out. Which is on our second floor. See, there's the concrete where we were. So yeah, I need to minimise this. This went actually all the way to the far end of that wall before I got an alternative recipe and managed to fix it. Also making, what's quite funny, I'm making leftover aluminium stuff into heat sinks. So I've actually got leftover stuff. See, comes down here, I've got that programmed in. That's making that for the aluminium alclad sheets, which makes the belts. Any leftover goes up there and gets synced, because if this backs up, everything breaks. It's going to take a while, but we'll get there. So yeah, that's the aluminium stuff. Don't think there's anything else left on this floor. Oh, this is quite cute. That's the making the aluminium solution from the blenders. I can't build it over, so I just thought I'd like leave it open. A little walkway around. It's quite cute. So yeah, they are going to add signposts eventually, so when they do I'll have everything else signposted. Got built-in staircases as well for when things go wrong, and nice little detailing here, bringing up the conveyor walls. It should take us back. Oh, that's the box site for the aluminium. Running around, and yet brings us back to here. So let's go up to the next level. Staircase. What did I put the staircase? Got doors out and in as well. A little bit dizzy. Right, where are we? Oh yeah, I had to do it sideways a little bit because there was stuff in the way. That's quite funny. Right, this is the high-end section. Not quite finished, as you can see, but we're making computers, crystal oscillators, all the high-end expensive stuff all come up here. Lots and lots of empty room, which is fine, because I need it to expand later on, probably, maybe. Got outside the platform, bringing in the new nitrogen gas, and the top level of the floor. I like that. So we've got the conveyor lift bringing everything up. It all just comes out again. You do not want to see inside. This gets so tight in here, it's ridiculous. Just jumping backwards and forwards and round and up and down and clipping everywhere. It's horrible. That's why I hide it. So there, again the walls along, bringing the belts in. So I think it's quite nice. Bringing the rubber and all that. Got nice little conveyor sections on the sides, so everything's tidied and out the way. See, I've got spare plastic and I've got spare quartz crystal, so I can start expanding certain bits out later on if I so choose, and I'm stuck. Yeah, there we go. I've got some spare pipes coming in because I actually ran out earlier from what I was making here. So these are made elsewhere than shipped in. Again, I just really like this design. So you're walking along and you just got these conveyors just crisscrossing above your head. I think it just looks really cool. I'll block all this off with glass later on. Again here, just bringing everything over to make what we need. But if you're on the floor, just running around, I just think it looks really cool. Especially with the lights glowing on it. Took a fair bit of wibbling and wobbling, but we got there. This bit is quite funny. Basically, I kept running out of the pipes because every time the train delivered it, it would stop. So I had to put these in somewhere to store the excess while it was being made. And I couldn't figure out where to do it, on that end or in that end, so I just built it here. And I can't actually put a panel here because they stick out too much. So I just turned it into a nice little, walkway. You didn't see that, but I just shrugged. That's my computers, which aren't actually making anything. I'm making supercomputers, but not using actual computers, so I need to change that at some point. Another little conveyor lift. Just follow it along. It's quite good, you just jump on it and ride it everywhere. This section here, again, more conveyors going over, but I glassed that bit off. I think it looked quite cool. You can see that more. This is quite funny. I had to bring something in from that side, but I had all these conveyors in the way, so I had to loop it down. Little roller coaster ride for them. So it goes down through there, back up, and then joins back on again. So yeah, if you delete the walls, you'll just see so much belt spaghetti everywhere, like this. Look at that, everywhere, just hidden. Like Disney World. If you can't see it, it doesn't exist. These are making the mummy cubes, medium-sized cubes. So I've got loads of these being made, more than I'll ever need, funny enough. And then it takes me to this section, which is the new tier section. Haven't finished it yet. I need to build the walls and finish off the belt work. But we'll start over here. So we got the mummy cubes coming in, the new nitrogen gas, which I kind of buggered up the pipework slightly because I couldn't build it directly underneath that. So I thought I'll do at a slight angle, and I think that looks quite cool actually. These are the packages, so I'm bringing in the nitrogen gas packaged at the other end, and it comes out here using the little drone platform here. And using new blenders, we get the big daddy cubes, which are there. Look at them. Ooh. Lots and lots of daddy cubes. We like those. I'm not using those for anything at the minute, which I'm quite surprised about. I'm pretty sure I was, but never mind. This bit is a little bit ganky, but I'll fix that later. These are making more heat sinks, rubber and aluminium casing. Nothing special about that. I got more heat sinks found down below, if you remember, and they merge on here. There we go. That's where they're merging on for heat sinks, and they go off and do their own thing later on. This is making the new cooling system. So motors, heat sinks and the nitrogen gas, which is why there's another pipe there. More concrete coming down from this area. So everywhere you go you can look out and see everything, which is quite pretty. So yeah, making lots of nice little cooling systems, lots of those, very expensive, very nice. That is just for destroying the excess, 2 coupons, excess stuff that I don't need. These are making high-speed connectors, which are fucking evil. Hate them, but I needed them for something else, and I'm definitely going to be needing them for the nuclear power plant. So yeah, this little thing here, bless it, just stuck in here, is making supercomputers. So yeah, it's literally all this I've built here can power that one machine. That's all it can do. It's annoying. So that's why I need to find a way to use the computers I'm making over there, because this is just, yeah, it's not enough. We come over here, I've got these 3 making the radio controlled units there. I've got some going to make the computers, and the other ones which are just stuck up here for now. Yeah, don't look at the evil, horrible belt work, which are making the turbo motors. So I think I've got enough of these now, so I'm going to strip all this back and rebuild it as and when. What's this? Yoink. Okay. So yeah, a little bit of detailing here. I like this. Again, you can't build directly over it, but I can build these little walkways over it, which I think is quite nice. So yeah, that is the main factory. There's my waterfall again, with the drone platform and everything else. I'll quickly show you the new, oh there's the Caterium line, don't worry about that. Show you the new resource. I've got an actual train line that goes around the actual side of the map. Oop, land it. Safe. Here we are. So it's basically fracking, we're just hitting the ground really hard and getting underground gases come out. It's quite cool, it's nice. One of the new buildings with an update for. Boing boing boing. And you get these nodes on the side, pipe it all in, lots and lots of lovely gas. There's a few of these dotted around, but yeah, this is the nearest one to me. So I've got a train line that literally comes up here, along here, goes there, back down there, and along back into the base. Follow that along. Originally, my plan, because it's only a one-way system, I've only got the one line, I don't need a secondary to go back. But my original plan was to build the nuclear section here, but I thought it's a bit too close to everything else, and if something goes wrong, I don't really want it to go wrong next to the main base. So that's why I'm decided to build it back down in the grasslands. So we come this way. You might remember from the other video, this is where I had my steel port. Massive base here with building up the steel. Well, I've done exactly the same thing, but much more compact. Oh, nearly died. So it's doing exactly the same thing as before, using this iron and the coal. Exact layout, but instead of it being absolutely humongous as it was before, it's a little bit more compacted. I was quite proud of this little design I've done. So it goes up and down, merges onto the line, and everything gets shipped out. And I've got that mirrored on both sides. So making the iron, merging it with the coal, making steel pipes, steel beams. So yeah. And then a nice big platform here for it all to go on. Over here, my quartz. Because I didn't realise this, but in this little cave here, which is quite well hidden, there's quite a few quartz nodes. So yeah, I stole them and they are now mine. And on top of that, they're Mark 4 belts. Like a Mark 4 belt. I've also got quartz coming from up there. So the train comes along, parks up there, picks up the first lot of quartz, comes along, down, picks up the next lot of quartz. See? There it goes. So that is the one up the hill, and that bit one is here. So instead of having to have two different trains bringing it all in, I've just got the one. So these two are the main lines, up and down, and as you can see, it all just branches off. So this one comes away from the base, comes down, goes in, goes down, round, picks up, and merges back on the other side. And I've built nice little lights all the way along. You can see the main base in the distance there. No matter where you go, you will always see it. This line here is basically just picking up the sulfur. There we are. Nothing fancy about that. Got a few little detailing platforms in so it's not hovering. Another geothermal plant. Up there, I didn't know there's a hole there. Why is there a hole there? That's new. Must explore. But yeah, basically up there is where the sulfur is for the battery system. So the batteries are literally just over there somewhere. It's all quite compact, this one. With the other save game, everything was a bit all over the place. Oh, gas. This one I've tried to keep it a bit more compact, but still look good. And that is actually everything now. It's a bit smaller than my last one, but I think just as big if you think about it, if that makes sense. And I shall finish off by showing you the world train line. Nothing's in use at the minute, another geothermal, but I thought it was nice. This took me a few hours. Just built a nice little train network that runs around the entire map. We'll head back to where we started. So it wiggles along the ground, just following the natural curves of everything. Gonna die. Yep, and we're gonna stop the video there because I'm dead. Cool. Bye bye.